From the uniforms of workers and rebel icons to becoming the most overproduced fabric in the world, denim is more than just a part of fashion history. It acts as a mirror for the world at large. So join us as we trace the thread of this fashion mainstay, stitching together its impact on modern society and how the two are tightly interwoven. Serge denim, or denim as we now know it, has been with mankind through the most dynamic, fast-changing period in history. Its versatility and adaptability have led to it penetrating every rung of society. Denim as a material has been used in the United States since the mid-19th century. It initially gained popularity in 1873 when Jacob W. Davis, a tailor from Nevada, manufactured the first pair of rivet-reinforced denim pants. As with most small manufacturers and startups, the popularity of his denim jeans quickly outpaced the manufacturing capacity of his small shop. So instead of outsourcing the labor to a sweatshop in Southeast Asia, he moved his production to the facilities of dry goods wholesaler Levi Strauss & Co. Bet you've heard of them before. Now, throughout the 20th century, denim being a very coarse and tough material, it was typically used for durable uniforms like those issued to the staff of the French National Railways. The same can be said for the post-war years. The Royal Air Force, or RAF, issued olive drab denim coveralls, colloquially known as denims, for dirty work. So far, it's pretty clear denim was used mainly in workwear and for utility purposes upon its inception. So how exactly did its reach balloon to encompass the entire world? As with most trends, denim had to be considered cool before it landed on the radar of early adapters, aka the cool kids. It came into a period of adolescent rebelliousness, as we all do. This was during the post-World War II period, as the American youth wore it to signify a resistance to conformity. Then cultural icons like the characters of James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause and Marlon Brando in The Wild One were indicative of the greaser and rockabilly subcultures that were gaining traction at the time. Both still have some holdover in Japan, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Since jeans were now becoming synonymous with rebelliousness and delinquency, schools started to ban them, which has always had a Streisand effect, in turn creating a newfound symbolic value for the clothing item. It was now the certified uniform of the rebel, the dark horse. It was elevated to a symbol of change, becoming more than practicality. 2 decades later, we were met with yet another counterculture revolution. The 70s and 80s were host to the hippie and disco era. Both of these subcultures sported bell-bottom trousers and jeans, some even embroidered, imbuing the denim with a newfound symbolic and cultural relevancy. Global trade and cultural exchange as a consequence of globalism allowed for these styles of denim to spread across the developed world. Global trade in a materialistic capitalist framing inevitably tends to prioritize global profit, and thus, during the 80s and 90s, high fashion made a concerted effort to adapt denim into their lookbooks and catalogs. They glamorized it and elevated it to new heights. This cemented the change in denim's utility, pivoting from being worn to build railways and tend to cattle, to being worn as a status symbol and being sold in the high street, with Calvin and Gianni making a killing off of them. Once things are commodified and sold at unreasonably high margins, the lower end of the market will be cornered and capitalized on by the bottom feeders. The pond scum, the economic saprophytes that feed on dead and dying trends. I'm of course referring to the fast fashion retailers. The heads of the pack like Zara, H&M and Forever 21 wrapped up the production and consumption cycle of denim to a ludicrous level, pumping out as many cuts, styles and looks as possible in an attempt to fill every fashion crack available for next to no money. Don't worry, it's fine. You'll pay with arable land and clean drinking water. Anyways, the innovations in manufacturing like pre-distressing and rapid low-cost production both reduce the quality of the garments and increase the waste and runoff from factories. The outsourcing of manufacturing to countries with less restrictions on labor laws, no environmental guidelines, and social media constantly prompting people to fill the God-shaped hole in their hearts with $10 jeans created the perfect hyper-consumption storm. It's like working at Harp, but for fashion MFs. The engineered clouds do have a silver lining though, because purists and snobs will always seek out authenticity and high-quality products. This comeback or return to sanity ironically leads us to Japan, where we encounter the enigma of the selvedge denim. Japan, with its cultural reverence for skilled craftsmanship and tradition, had the perfect preconditions for high-quality denim manufacturing. After World War II, a lot of American culture flooded the small Pacific island, once an empire. It made use of its post-war industrialization and became an economic superpower. The term selvedge refers to the method in which the fabric itself is woven. To keep it simple, the warp thread is the dyed vertical thread in a loom, and the weft thread is the undyed horizontal one. Typically, the warp thread is cut and finished separately on the edges to prevent fraying. Selvedge denim, however, loops around the edge in an S formation back and forth across the loom. This is an older method of production, but leads to a self-finished edge or a self-edged loom. The edge is typically positioned on the outseam and gives selvedge denim its signature look. Oftentimes, these manufacturers also produce raw denim jeans, that being denim that hasn't been washed or pre-distressed. This allows enthusiasts to break their jeans in and create a unique wash and wear. The most premium mills are located in Japan, such as Kuroki, founded in 1950, which supplies APC and 316. Kuroki mostly produces rope-dyed selvedge denim, which is more eco-friendly since it reduces dye and yarn wastage. Rope dyeing itself is a traditional method where yarns are twisted into ropes of typically 300 to 400 strands, which are then dipped into indigo dye baths multiple times by hand. This creates a ring dye effect where only the outer layer of the yarn is dyed, leaving the core white, which wears well and sells the worn vintage look, just like your mom. Due to the laborious manufacturing process, these jeans aren't cheap and can cost up to $2,000. Keeping that price tag in mind, it's no surprise the rest of the world was quick to follow, with luxury designer brands like Gucci and Acne Studios selling jeans for $300 to $500. Though the production value is far higher and for the most part less damaging to the environment, the same fabric that functioned as a symbol of equality, labor, and counterculture has once again been utilized as a class marker and status symbol. Social media's impact cannot be understated in the mass adoption of denim. Online trends are constantly dictating the in-cuts and styles and are resulting in some of the most aerodynamic fit pics of all time. Fashion MFs really pop their pants and look like an SR-71 Blackbird for fun. Brands based on social media utilize manufactured scarcity to create purchase pressure using limited drops and collabs. So if you don't buy it right now, you'll never be able to. Better go steal mum's credit card or drop your entire wage from McDonald's all at once and figure out the rent when it's due. In closing, what fruits will the future of denim bear? Raw and selvedge denim have all the right principles, but because of the inflated price tag and viral popularity, the chances of it becoming the everyman's clothing item at a reasonable price is virtually non-existent. Realistically, if people are having to finance their DoorDash orders with monthly payments, I guarantee that most people are not going to want to pay upwards of $500 for a pair of Momotaro Zimbabwean cotton jeans. Honestly, the closest they are to Zimbabwe in anything is their bank balance. Thrifting and upcycling are very much in the zeitgeist among fashion enthusiasts and offer a more sustainable, creative, if somewhat laborious means of reincorporating old items into your wardrobe. This is primarily skill-based matchmaking though, and oftentimes we see the same predatory practices of scalping, reselling, and the dreaded archive demons popping their heads up again, reinventing the wheel and subjecting everyone to ridiculous prices. All that being said, I did a bit of a deep dive on alternative production methods and found a few interesting developments to lighten the mood. Now, I'm no SDG champion, nor do I want anyone to own nothing and be happy. However, I don't see the point in destroying the planet to buy cheap pants made via slave labor either. I feel that where waste can be minimized, it should. And there are all kinds of cool developments for fabric treatment that have been made, such as bio-based indigo dye, hitting the market via a French biotech company named
Highway.
It recently scaled its microbially made indigo production to the tons and launched it commercially with Citizens of Humanity and the Turkish Orta Mill in spring 2025. This is the first real at-scale bio-indigo in use for production. Genealogia also rolled out its G2 ozone, which it claims to be the most advanced and eco-efficient ozone technology in the textile industry. It generates ozone from the atmosphere, which reacts with the dyed fabric, producing a worn and washed look. There's zero discharge, meaning zero chemical and water use. As for alternatives and regenerated fibers, cottonized hemp continues to appear in Levi's Well Thread and selvedge denim capsules. We all know that hemp uses far less water than cotton, and it's probably the most anti-static establishment material you could dream of, which is why it's been demonized so thoroughly for about 100 years now. There are also textile-to-textile recycled fibers like Evernew New Cycle, which takes offcuts from manufacturing and used fibers and deconstructs, purifies, liquefies, and transforms them into New Cycle lyocell fiber, which looks like and performs the same as, if not better than, virgin fiber. The process is entirely cyclical and can be performed ad nauseum, so at least we have opportunities to pivot away from mass consumption and do more with less. Because if we're being honest, most people deserve less and shouldn't do at all. As a sweet farewell, here's a quick free verse poem. Stitched from fields, brewed in vats, reborn from rags, denim still carries the weight of blue history. God bless and keep safe.